Hello and welcome back to another episode of Bitesize Cinema. I'm your host RJ McCready, and for this episode I'm going to be taking you guys back to the year in 1984 to look at the iconic action-adventure movie starring Eddie Murphy, and that's Beverly Hills Cop. And joining me today I have a very special guest. It's Mark Lockhart. He's joined me before for Dude Looks Like the 80s, and he's come back to cover this iconic movie. Mark, how you doing, buddy?
How you doing?
Now, it's good to have you on the show, Mark. Mark, I've had you on the show before, mate, but you're new to Bitesize, so do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, mate? I know you've done a bit of acting and stuff like that.
I've been a big fan of podcasting for quite a while in the last few years. Some of the podcasts I've been listening to have been podcasts on Haunted Hill with our good friends Gav and Dan, and in fact, just on that, I listened to the podcast that you did previously with Dan on Masters of the Universe, and really dug that. That was brilliant. I was doing a bit of gardening, and I had it on just playing on the speaker, and I was doing a bit of gardening, and every time you were talking through the film, I was just on everything you guys were saying. I just knew everything that was coming up, and it was just brilliant to hear two people talk about a movie which has a really important place in my heart, because it was probably one of the first films I went to see at the cinema, at the Cannon Cinema, no doubt.
I remember the Cannon Cinema, mate.
Yeah, I know you guys touched on that, and it was great to hear people talk about something which is now lost in time. Well,
yeah, that's right. I had the Cannon Cinema opposite the road from me when I was growing up. I remember that. So, but yeah, no, it's always good to have Dan on the show. He came back on the show recently, actually, for Enter the Dragon, which just dropped. And again, it's funny you say that. It's what I said to my next door neighbour earlier. Actually, he was talking about the show, and I mentioned that it's when you get two people together who are fans of this genre, you just buzz, don't you? You go back to when you was a kid and you talk about these films, and that's kind of how I was explaining podcasts, really. You know, that's, you know, when you get someone who loves the film that you're talking about, you just bounce off each other, don't you? But it's always good to have Dan on the show. It's great. It's great.
Totally. No, it's good to hear it's good to hear you two talk about a classic in my world, anyway, and obviously it is in your world too. So about me, what I've been doing. So in the last few years, I've been doing a bit of like extra work for a few productions. Notably, I was in the Burberry Christmas ad a couple of years ago, which was pretty cool. I've been in one of Deadbolt Films movies. Gav Hall, he directed a movie called Preternatural. One of the supporting cast in that. Stage, I've been in a few stage productions. Most notably, Jamaica Inn. I played an albino vicar.
Wow.
And if you know the story of Jamaica Inn, you'll know that he's a pretty weird guy.
I am familiar with that story.
Oh gosh, yeah. So in the stage show, I had to be dressed all in white. So I was like an albino. So I had to be painted. My skin was painted white, and had to wear like proper 1800s like clobber, like 1810, 1820 clobber, and I was like a vicar. Big collars, you know, and I had long white hair, and I had a hat. I'll send you a picture after the show, man. You can check it out.
Yeah, because I remember you mentioned this.
Had red eyes.
I remember you mentioned this before, Mark. Didn't you have? Did you mention Jane Seymour was on stage with you on that, or somebody like that, or was an actress?
No. Jane Seymour was in the 1983 TV.
Right, that was it, mate. Yeah, okay.
Series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish that Jane Seymour was with me. Jeez, I fancied her a lot when I was a kid.
I'm sure you would do, mate. Yeah, I think we all would, actually. Oh, dear.
She's still looking great now, bless her.
She is looking lovely. Yeah. Yeah, so you've done a bit with Deadbolt Films, and you did something with Angel Has Fallen as well, didn't you, with the Gerard Butler movie? I remember you saying.
Yes. Yeah. I was a police officer in Angel Has Fallen. The scene, if you've seen the movie, scene where Gerard Butler's driving a big Arctic truck, and he's trying to get away from police. He ends up he ends up turning the truck on its side and sliding in towards like woodland. And I'm in one of the cop cars behind. There's like 3 cop cars behind, and then we screech to a stop. And I kick the door open. I pull out my gun and I pull out my torch, and I'm holding the gun on top of my forearm,
right,
walking into the forest looking for Gerald Butler. That's what I did, and I'm very proud of that.
No, it's brilliant, mate. I see you get a little IMBD credit on that as well. I see your name on there, mate.
Yeah.
With, it's like a state trooper, Mark Lockhart. No, it's brilliant stuff, man.
That's
great.
State trooper, and we've just finished a little short actually, which is being entered into into a competition on the 30th of this month. That's with Deadbolt Films. It's called All Fall Down. It's finished. It's been submitted, and hopefully we do well in that.
Yeah, no, I think like I say, Gav from the Haunted Hill, who is obviously co-host with Dan, who's on the show, and now I've listened to their show. It's a great show, and I know, like I say, Gav's, he does all the directing, didn't he, with Deadbolt, and you did that war movie, didn't you?
Yeah.
Or the short war film, wasn't it? And Nothing Hurt, wasn't it? I think.
And Nothing Hurt. Yes, yeah. Yes. I helped on set in that movie, in that short, great short. Gav did a really good job with that. Tom wrote a fantastic story.
Yeah, some really good stuff. I like it. I'm always very supportive of the independent film world because I know how much stuff goes into it. Especially, I always knew there was a lot that went into it, but having known Gav and seen what you guys do with Deadbolt, I appreciate now how much work, even just to do a 5-minute short. There's quite a lot goes into that. So. Check these out. I think they're on YouTube and stuff like that, aren't they? These films.
Some of them are on YouTube now. Yeah, I think the most recent one that's obviously not been revealed yet, as it's been submitted to a film festival. So,
did you want me to
see that quite soon? And it's only a minute short.
Did you want me to edit that, or is that top secret? Or
no.
That's all okay. All right.
No, it's fine. No.
Just making sure I'm not letting
cow
the bag there or anything like that. Well, thanks, Mark.
No.
Appreciate that, mate. It's a little bit about you, mate. So let's have a look at this film then, mate. Let's have a look at Beverly Hills Cop. So let's take you guys back to the year in 1984. Let's get into that 1973 Chevy Nova. Let's play you guys a trailer. Let's go, Mark. Let's get in the car. And we'll see you guys soon. Let's go.
Whoop, whoop.
Eddie Murphy is a Detroit cop on vacation in Beverly Hills.
I just got off the phone with an Inspector Todd in Detroit. He says if you're out here investigating the Tandino murder, you needn't bother coming back.
I don't want to take it anymore.
For a man who claims to be on vacation, you look a lot like you're on a stakeout.
Stakeout? No. I'm picnicking. This is like a picnic area. I have to ask you some questions about Michael Tandino.
I've never been to a cell that had a phone in it.
Can I stay for a while? Because I ordered some pizza.
We have 6 witnesses that say you broke in and started tearing up the place, then jumped out the window.
May I help you?
Yeah. I'm looking for Victor Maitland.
I've nothing to say to you.
How you doing? You guys don't know nothing about nothing, do you? You just got your badges and your guns and you're on the job, right? Make sure we get the right drinks, because if I drink club soda, I'll throw up. This is the cleanest and nicest police car I've ever been in my life. This thing's nicer than my apartment.
Retrospect, you are the pride of your department in Detroit.
It seems painfully obvious you haven't the slightest idea who you're dealing with.
I don't know what y'all think I am. Kill me for some kind of food. Hurry up, quicker!
Crawl back to your little stone in Detroit before you get squashed.
And welcome back, guys. So the synopsis of this film is a freewheeling Detroit cop pursuing a murder investigation finds himself dealing with a very different culture of Beverly Hills. It's got a 105-minute runtime. It's an 18 certificate and it's classed as an action comedy crime. It's directed by Martin Brest and he was director for Saturday Night Live, and he went on to go and do another movie called Midnight Run with Robert De Niro. It was written by Daniel Petrie Jr. and he also wrote Toy Soldiers, which is another film which I reviewed on Bitesize not long ago. And he also went on to go and produce Turner and Hooch with Tom Hanks. And it's also produced by... Yeah, good old Turner and Hooch, good movie. It's also produced by Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, and you should be very familiar with these guys because they directed some awesome films in the 80s and the 90s. Top Gun, Flashdance, The Rock and Con Air, just to name just a few. And the cast for this film is obviously Eddie Murphy as Axel Foley, Judge Reinhold.
Say no more.
Oh yeah, I know, yeah, that's it. It was Say No More. We'll get back on him in a minute, Mark. Judge Reinhold as Billy Rosewood. Is that Mr. Rosemont? He's also done...
Rosemont.
Rosemont. You may know him for doing the voice of Garfield, and he's in films such as Vice Versa and Gremlins.
Don't forget Dragnet.
Oh, Dragnet as well, yeah. Thanks for reminding me there, Mark. It's just good to have my wingman on here, mate. John Ashton as Sergeant Taggart. He's also in Midnight Run. Lisa El-Basha as Jenny. She was in Officer and a Gentleman. Ronnie Cox as Lieutenant Bogomil from RoboCop and Deliverance. Stephen Burkhoff
Total
as...
Recall.
Oh yeah, Total Recall, yeah, as well. They're just they're in all the films, aren't they, these people? Stephen Burkhoff.
Some amazing films.
As Victor Maitland, he's in Rambo 2 and Outland. And Paul Reiser, the bad menacing guy from Aliens, and he plays Jeffrey in this. So there's a cast, there's the directors, the writers, and you also got the amazing soundtrack by Harold Faltermeyer for the Axel F soundtrack. So there you go, that's the production of the film. Mark, Beverly Hills Cop, man, it's a classic. When's your first memories of watching this film?
I remember being, I must have been maybe six or seven or eight maybe. Must have been 87, 88, something around that. And where I used to live on this estate, this man used to drive around each of the roads on the estate in like a big red Nissan Cherry, and it's like an estate car. And in the back of his car, he would come into the road and just toot the horn beep, 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 beep. And people would come out and look in the back of his car, and he had all these VHS in rows in the back of his car. That was basically my first foray into hiring movies. That's how you do it. You pay £2.50. He gave you a movie, and you go and watch it. So my mum used to pick up a lot of good films from this guy, and we picked it up. She picked it up and she put it on, and yeah, it must have been about 7 or 8. Couldn't sleep. Came downstairs one night, and my mum was watching it, and I ended up just sitting there and watching it with her. That was my first time I ever saw Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, I think I was probably a little bit older than that. I saw it on TV. I actually saw it on a black and white TV in the kitchen. It's
nice.
One of those old TVs with the turn button. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you have a coat hanger aerial antenna?
I did. Oh, God. I did. You know, this actually would have been the early 90s that I saw this film, and we still had black and white TVs with coat hanger for an aerial. Some of the trials and tribulations we used to go through to watch TV back in those times, mate. It's just, everything's easy now, isn't it, with iPhones and technology? But
yeah, you get perfect clarity every time you want to watch something. On a black and white TV, you'd have to turn the aerial ever so slightly just to try and get that perfect, pristine screen. And if you get up to move, or if someone moves in the room, then it just alters. You just get your TV starts snowing.
Yeah, it's like you've got an alien invasion on your TV, isn't it? It's slightly warping, isn't it? God almighty.
How many times did you slap the side of the TV hoping that was going to work?
Man, must have slapped. I was surprised that TV didn't fall apart. The amount of time, it was the other thing. I think I mentioned this on the show previously as well. Was remember you used to have the old TV used to be cladded with wood, didn't it? Like a veneer, wasn't it? And you used to have like push buttons. I don't know if you had a TV like that, Mark. You might have been a little bit more upmarket than me, but it's just.
I don't think so, mate. I grew up on a council estate, so I wouldn't have been very market.
So that was my first experience. That was, I suppose, that's how this film was scarred into my mind. With watching this film with that old TV, and I was blown away by it, mate. It was another moment for me in cinema history where I was probably about 12 or something like that, and it's just the music, the characters, the comedy, the pace of the film. It just does everything you want it to do, doesn't it? This movie, it's just a magic movie, and it's a feel-good film as well, isn't it?
It is. It's such a feel-good film, and when you hear that do 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 do, you just know straight away exactly what it is. There's not a doubt in your mind. You know exactly. It's Beverly Hills Cop. You can see Axel Foley. You can see Detroit. It's just brilliant, man. It's just brilliant.
I'll tell you
so many nostalgic memories.
This is the effect it's got on me, Mark. Right, and I'm very proud to say this. Right, okay. So last week when I knew he was doing this show, I've got it on CD in my car.
Yeah.
I drive an old 1990 MR2 Toyota MR2. It's blue. I pretend it's the Chevy Nova from 1973, and then just to top that, mate, I've got Axel Foley's white Adidas trainers with his Mumford top, and I'm just driving the car into work with that soundtrack. And I'll be honest with you, mate, for a moment, right, okay, I feel like I'm Eddie Murphy, you know what I mean? Just driving through. I've got Stir It Up as I'm driving through Kensington and Chelsea, do you know what I mean? I'm just and this is the effect this film's had on me, mate, do you know what I mean? That's and it's just, it's amazing,
I think seeing Axel Foley wearing Adidas, like, back in the day, really, like, inspired my desire for Adidas trainers.
Yeah, I know you love the.
Definitely. I really want that Mumford top as well.
Yeah, I got it off the internet, mate. It's a proud possession of mine. Every time I wear it, and I've even got I've got Becky to buy the blue jersey as well, and she bought me one. I said, no, it's got to be specific. It's got to be like the Axel one, and she managed to get one for me. And so.
Yeah.
And I turned up at work and thought to see if anybody noticed, and no one did. It's
funny, isn't it? It's funny. You see something like so I don't know, like so obvious to you when you look at something and you're like, surely someone's got to notice that. Surely someone's got to see that.
Someone's going to pick up.
But no one ever does.
No, that's it. But there you go. It's like I say, that's the effect it had on me, and. Probably the same with you, mate. Everybody was talking about this film at school as well. It's talking about the music and the characters, and always used to sort of use the lines as well. Do you know what I mean? That $5,000, and I seem to remember everybody
$5,000.
Listen, look at my lips, $5,000. I remember everybody going, "How much is small?" Yeah, it's great. Oh man, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about. We will talk about some trivia, but some trivia here with this film.
Yeah.
Is you probably know this, mate.
Yeah, go for it.
There was actually going to be someone else play Axel Foley, and that's actually Sylvester Stallone.
He was originally considered for the role, from what I read.
Yeah, the origins of this film. I only found this out this week actually. It was, so Michael Eyster, he's the head of Paramount, and he was kicking around with this story back in the mid-70s, 1975. And he came up with the basic plot of this film, and he actually had the main character as L.A. Foley. And it was going to be based in Los Angeles, and you had this cop called L.A. Foley. And Sylvester Stallone caught light of it, and he was going to be involved, and he just wanted it to be a full-on action movie, a bit like what you had with Arnie back in the day in the mid-80s and that. But they wanted the script to be a little bit more light-hearted. Sylvester Stallone sort of thought, well, I really want it to be an action movie, so he went away from the project. They got Eddie Murphy, and the rest was history. It just went boom, and it just made a load of money at the box office. But then Sylvester Stallone would then go on to make Cobra, which is a film that didn't do as well, but I kind of like. You know what I mean? I've watched it recently, and I've quite enjoyed it. Actually, it's quite a good movie.
Yeah, I like Cobra. It's a very gritty movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's a very gritty movie.
Yeah, it's a very it's a film which, funny enough, I didn't really enjoy back in the 90s. I don't know why, but I've watched it recently, and I've found a new love for it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just sort of like a nostalgia thing or something like that. But yeah, no, it works for me now. So yeah. Back
when Cobra came out, I didn't really enjoy the film like you. But when I was younger, I had a Commodore 64, and I had Cobra, the computer game, on the Commodore 64, and it was a side scroller, like RoboCop. It was side scroller. You had to jump up on barrels and shoot the bad guys, and yeah, it was really cool. I really enjoyed that. And the soundtrack on the game was really good. I think it was an Ocean produced game on the Commodore 64.
I think they did a lot of them, didn't they? Ocean. I think you're right, because I remember the RoboCop game. I don't remember the Cobra one, but I can well believe, because they took them all on, didn't they? They actually did a Beverly Hills Cop game on the Commodore 64.
I never played that. I still got my Commodore 64. I never played Beverly Hills though. I'll have to look out for that on an emulator.
Go check it out on YouTube, mate. When you said about sometimes I didn't get the soundtrack right, and it sounds really screechy on the 64, you know, beep 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 like this, you know what I mean?
I think Ghostbusters was one of my favourites on the Commodore 64.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think it was all platform game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a mix of different games. Like when the game was loading, you could play Space Invaders, and then once you get into the game, you get allocated however much money to build your car, the amount of traps you have on your car. You can choose your car, so you could choose like a hearse, or you could choose a Corvette, or you could choose a Volkswagen Beetle.
Wow, that's pretty advanced, isn't it, for the old 64? Those options on there, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it was a good game.
Like you say, sometimes they get the plot and the characters right in these games, don't they?
Yes, sometimes they don't.
And most of the time you get a different game to what's on the front cover, isn't it? You know, you look at those games, didn't you, back in the 80s, and you think, wow, look at that. Yeah. Look at that. And then it's just a couple of little bips on the screen. Man, that looks nothing like on the cover.
I've been ripped off. I want a refund.
Yeah, you go back to the shop and say, I wanted this game on the cover, and when I put it in, it didn't look anything like that.
It's so funny. It's so true, though. It's so true.
It's brilliant.
Because usually you have the movie theatrical trailer on the cover of a computer game, and then when you put it in, you see like about 3 or 4 like multicolored blocks on the screen. You're like,
hang on a second.
It's not what I bought.
Mark, we have come a long way, mate. I tell you, this is what we got today. Come a long way from that Atari tennis game.
Pong.
2 bars and a ball on the screen.
Two rectangles and a square. A little tiny square.
You, man. Kids today, they just don't know, man.
They just don't know. They don't know.
So, shall we have a look at this film then, mate? Shall we do a bite-sized review of Beverly Hills Cop?
Yes, definitely. Before we move on, can I just talk about? You mentioned Stallone was originally considered for the role.
Yeah.
The actual role was offered originally to Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool character back then, wasn't he? Could you have seen him play the role?
I can't. No, I can't. Axel Foley, Eddie Murphy made the role his. There's just no way. Like I can't see Mickey Rourke playing Axel Foley.
Yeah, I think it's just probably one of those things where if he did play it, I guess we'd never know, would we? Really, I'm not sure we'd have the comedy and the charisma. I think it'd be a totally different film, wouldn't it? It'd probably be more of a sort of straight-laced type movie. It no doubt you have some action in it, but it probably wouldn't be the film that we have today, would it? But I think you also had a few other people. You had Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was in line for it as well. Could you imagine that? It's just
I watched the Blu-ray yesterday, and on the Blu-ray you've got like extras on the DVD, and I sat and watched the extras as well.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew that Mickey Rourke was offered the role. Was actually offered the role first. Stallone was considered, but there were 3 other candidates which were considered for the role as Axel Foley. They are Richard Pryor, which would have worked.
Yeah.
Because Eddie Murphy modelled himself on Richard Pryor. Al Pacino, not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't know. Again, it probably would have been a different film, wouldn't it?
Exactly. It would have been more mafia orientated, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You probably would have got Godfather or something.
Looking for Victor Maitland.
Casino. And the other actor that was considered was James Caan, or Caan.
Oh, okay. Again, yeah, just you're bringing up these names, but I just can't. Well, James Caan. Yeah, again, it would have been more like a sort of Godfather type movie, wouldn't it? Or
it wouldn't have been. We wouldn't be sat here talking if it wasn't Freddie Murphy being Axel Foley. Put it that way. So I don't think the film would have done as well and have been a cult classic as it has become.
The only one who could possibly have done it, they had Billy Crystal as well.
Really?
Yeah. And he did a film. He did a cop movie, didn't he? He did a bloody cop movie. I can't remember the name of it now. You wouldn't normally think Billy Crystal would do it, but it's funny how films can be, isn't it? That there are a few films kicking around of actors who you wouldn't think would be an action hero or do all that, and then they do, don't they? Do you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do like these alternate topics. Do you know what I mean? I do like to throw in who else could have played that character. It's the same with. It's a bit of a tangent now. We always go on to this. It's the same as Bruce Willis playing John McClane, isn't it? He just did it, didn't he? He just did it well. There might have been a lot of people at the time who said, you know, do you really want this guy? Because, you know, you probably say, you know,
taking a gamble.
Stallone, Schwarzenegger at the time, they're all the big action heroes, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? They're all making the money. Do you want to go for this unnamed actor? And sometimes it works. I kind of said that in, I just reviewed Taken, actually, and I said the same thing there with Liam Neeson. And I think sometimes an actor like him can suit that role because of the film that you're making. You want the audience to gel with that character. And I think Liam Neeson is that father figure who wants to go for the daughter, and I think that's why that film worked. So kind of a little bit of a Taken tangent. But, man, that's where we go with these podcasts, isn't it? You never know where you're going to end up. But
Exactly.
So
bite-sized cinema.
That's bite-sized cinema for you. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Little tangent
there. Oh man. But yeah, so let's get back onto the let's have a look at this film then.
Yes, have a look at this film.
So as the film starts off with the intro, you've got the Paramount Picture intro, and then all of a sudden you can just hear that The Heat Is On by Glenn Frey just kicks straight in there, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? And when I hear that music, every time I just think this film is literally pulling you through that TV screen. It's going to take you on a magnificent ride, isn't it? You're going to have 90 minutes of fun here with that.
I love the music and how the film cuts between all these different pieces of Detroit, like the desolate buildings, the environment, you know, real downtown gritty Detroit clubs, closed up bars and clubs. It's real dirty. It's like industrial. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, it almost right there and then it's just that building block of the movie, isn't it? You know, where Axel Foley comes from. They're the streets that he polices.
Exactly.
And it really in that first few seconds, it develops the film really well, doesn't it? To think that this cop is going to go from Detroit to Beverly Hills.
to Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
exactly.
So,
I think what they did really well in the movie is how they contrasted the two.
Yes.
Detroit and Beverly Hills.
So then you've got Axel Foley. You're introduced to his character. He's conducting a unauthorised operation in a truck, trying to sell a load of Lucky Strike to some villains, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's got Pall Mall cigarettes and Lucky Strike cigarettes in the back of a truck.
which was used in a hijacking about a week later, wasn't it, or something? It hasn't even been impounded or something.
He's taken evidence from a previous bust, and he's using it to try and frame some convicts.
So no one saw Axel Foley driving that truck out of a police pound. You know what I mean? You know, who's ever working that day must have been having an off day. You know. Yeah, so he's trying to sell. He's obviously trying to make a bit of money on the side there as well, isn't he, with his job and that? You know, trying to get the villains. He's trying to sell them for $5,000, Mark, isn't it? That's that sort of classic quote, isn't it?
Tell me hey, you've only given me $2.5. I want $5,000. Read my lips. $5,000.
It's iconic, isn't it?
It is, and the guy just says, "Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, it's a bit short. You know what? I'll give you $2.5 today, and then I'll make it up to you. How about that?"
And then he's got $2,000 in his hand, and all of a sudden a cop car turns up, doesn't it? And he goes, "Oh no!" And then the guy takes the money, doesn't he? And you got the guy in the front of the truck, isn't it? He just runs in there, and then you got the police officer who's looking at the phone. And he goes, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" He goes, "Oh no, you don't know me, man. I'm from Buffalo."
He's like, "You wouldn't believe this, officer. Truck, man, it just stopped.
Yeah, that's it.
Can you give me a jump? Can you give me a jump? It just stopped."
I mean, you're not even 2 minutes into this film, are you? And you just you're entertained. It's almost like you've got the best scene of an ending of another movie, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? You've just come halfway in through something here. And then,
but that scene, what they're doing, he's trying to conduct the deal for the cigarettes, and that cop is just slowly eking down that alleyway straight towards him. It's just so good. It's comical.
Yeah, it's just such good writing. And then you've got your 80s car chase here, haven't you? And then all of a sudden you've got, I think you posted this on the page the other day, is it? The Neutron Dance, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm just
Neutron
burning,
dance,
doing the Neutron dance. Dun, 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 dun. And I love this bit.
That car chase.
Yeah, just driving through all these cars. You've got Axel in the back and he's hanging onto the chains and he's hanging on out the back of the car or the truck.
Oh, I know.
Oh.
The truck is smashing through fruit and veg stalls. He's hitting Volkswagen Beetles. He's hitting telephone pylons. It's just literally relentless. And the guy in the front who's driving the lorry is smiling like maniacal and just hitting everything that he can try and find. Going up tight alleys, busting up cars, busting up police cars, and it's such a good car chase as well.
Yeah.
Such a good police car chase.
That's what I mean. You've got everything here, haven't you? Like I say, you've got Axel hanging on the back of the truck. You've got the Neutron Dance theme tune here, and like you say, you've got all these car crashes. it's all real as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? They must have staged all that throughout the streets, and it's just like brilliant.
No special effects, just pure action, blowing up cars, smashing up cars.
So there you go. You straight away. You know this is how Axel Foley works. You know, he's a renegade cop, but he's a good guy. He's a funny guy. He's got the one-liners. He knows how to handle the villains. And then right at the end of it, that bloke, the guy at the front, he gets out. I'm out of here, and he runs down the road. And then the cops have got the guns on Axel, and they just come out. You know, after all that, he just goes, "Oh, Axel, I knew this should have been you."
He's like, "Freeze, asshole!" Axel, I knew it was you.
But Axel just turns around, and he just like looking, isn't he, at the cop, just going, "Hey guys, it's me." You know, it's almost like, "Oh, he did this last week on us." Do you know what I mean? It's just. So,
oh no, not Axel again.
Yeah, not again. So after all this carnage, he gets back into East Police precinct, doesn't he? And then he comes across Inspector Todd, doesn't he? And he's like, "Isn't that damn Axel in here? Is that damn Axel Foley?"
You know, man, like, that's hilarious. When he gets into the police precinct, and he's walking past all of his colleagues, and they're all like taking the piss out of him, and he's just like, "Oh, you right, that one?" And then his best mate Jeffrey, who we see Jeffrey, which is what's his name, Paul Reiser. We see him for the first time.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to talk to Axel, saying, "You need to go and inspect Todd's office. You need to go and inspect Todd's office." And Axel Foley's just like, "La la 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 la, la 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 la, I'm not talking to you. Why are you still talking? I am not listening to you.
And then he says to him, I am not listening to you, like that. That's when Inspector
Like,
Todd comes in.
When you do that, and Axel's just like, well, stop then.
And then one of the other officers, he's getting changed. He goes, "Hey Axel, you got a light?" And he goes, "Oh, that's great, man. That's funny."
You write that one?
Yeah, that's it.
And
you're right.
yeah, Inspector Todd, when he busts into the locker room, is like, "That fucking Foley in here!"
Yeah, that goddamn Foley in here. He goes. He said, "I've had to go through the mayor." Do you mind telling me where you got that truck from? And he says, "From the whatever hijacking case or whatever it was." He goes, "We just impounded that the other day, didn't he?" He goes, "It hasn't even been swapped or anything like that."
He's like, "You mind telling me where the fuck you come off going undercover without authorization? You want to play some police bullshit? You want to play some cowboy cop? Go and do it in another precinct."
Yeah, that's it.
The man called the chief called the deputy chief, and the deputy chief just chewed my ass. And as you can see, there isn't anything left.
And then Axel comes out, then he goes, "Go home, Foley." He goes, "You're a good cop, but you're going to carry on like this. You're going to get your ass kicked out of the department." And as he walks off, then he goes, "Hey, Chief." And he goes, "What is it?" He goes, "Was it the chief ain't chewing that much? He's still got a little ass there, didn't he, like that?"
The deputy chief didn't chew your ass. There's still plenty of it there. Don't fuck me, Axel.
You know what?
And like I say, he just gets away with murder.
This is the thing, though, Mark, isn't it? That's what I'm saying, though. You are probably about 5 minutes into this film, and you are just constantly entertained, aren't you, with this film? It just doesn't stop, does it? And
No.
Inspector Todd he's not actually an actor, he's actually a real detective in Detroit. They just pulled him in. Yeah, they just wanted someone.
That.
Yeah, so he does it well. He's got so much conviction about him, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? You can see he's like a sort of battle-hardened cop, so he does a great job.
Like when he walks into the locker room, and when you hear that fucking Foley in here,
yeah.
I literally like shit myself. I like hang my head. I'm like, what have I done?
Yeah, I know. That's it. Yeah, that's man. You know, you imagine him being your school headmaster, man. Jeez. Oh man.
You'd be good as gold.
You'd be So, after getting reprimanded by his boss, you get Axel Foley. He goes home and he finds his apartment broken into. So, he gets his gun out. He sort of sweeps the room round. And then he's got his childhood mate Mike Tandino. He's going through his fridge eating all his grub, isn't
he? Yeah.
And Mikey, he's spent a bit of time in prison. Obviously, they've been mates in the past. And he is now working security in Beverly Hills for
Victor
Maitland. And he has helped himself to some bearer bonds, which Axel Foley at this time
German bearer.
Yeah, he said to him, "Look, man, you know, don't tell me where you got them from. It's just really good to see you." So they he doesn't even like acknowledge it, doesn't ask where he got them, just leaves it, just like, "Hey Mikey, how are you?" Yeah, I mean, that's right. At this time he's gone, yeah, it's just good to see an old mate. I know you're a bit crooked, so let's go out, have a few beers, play some pool, catch up. And that's what they do, isn't it? You know, they have a bit of time with his mate, isn't it, down the bar. You got that dude who says to Mikey, then he says, "Look, you know, I'll bet you $100 you're not going to take that shot," doesn't he? And he's got the bonds on the table and he goes, "I bet you $200. And you got a little bit of a soundtrack in the background here as well, yeah, from the album as well. So.
We have, yeah. Yeah, I think it's Patti LaBelle, Attitude, I think.
Attitude, that's it, yeah. I did pick up on that.
I'm feeling good from my head to my feet.
I got a new attitude.
Oh man, that soundtrack is too good. Like you play the soundtrack in your car. I love playing in my car. I do pretend that I'm Axel.
Yeah,
and, like,
I'm not kidding you.
Driving through like the streets of Frimley.
I'm not kidding you, mate. I am. I'm very proud to say that, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's where these films take me. So after this, spending a bit of time as mates and they playing a bit of pool, they come back to Axel's apartment. Mike's drunk, And before they get to the pond, and they get struck down by Mr. Maitland's, well, we don't know this at the time, do we? A couple of his henchmen.
Hitmen.
And they take out Mike, don't they? And he says to him, doesn't he?
Yeah, they do. And that's so savage. It's so savage, that scene.
Yeah.
He's like, what you got here? And he shows him the barrel bonds, and he's like, slaps him around a bit. Then he walks off for a little bit and says, "That's okay, I'm not going to hurt you." And he's like, then he sinks one into his stomach.
Yeah.
He drops down to the floor, and then the henchman picks him up from the back of the head while he's laying face down and fires 2 bullets point blank into the back of his head. That is savage.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I mean, he's taking some money, isn't he? Right, he's taking these bonds, but that's, he's killed him. So I guess that kind of takes you to the point of how bad these guys are, isn't it? This is what these guys are willing to do, isn't it? So it gets you right behind Axel Foley and his investigation now to say, I want to find these guys who've killed my mate. And you get Inspector Todd turn up again, don't you, on this one? He goes...
Well, you do get Inspector Todd.
Because Axel comes out, he says, "Hey, he's a friend of mine." He goes, "Yeah, let's talk about this friend of yours. He's just come out of prison. He's a felony. He's a car thief. Yeah, this whole thing sounds down to shit, doesn't it? Like, let's say, I've got a homicide," and he just says to him, "Go home, Foley. Go home." And then
Go home, Foley.
And then this is where Axel says, "Hey, Chief, I've got some vacation coming up, And he says, "Well, take your vacation," but he goes, "If I find out you're involved in this Tantino case, it'll be the longest vacation you ever took." He goes, oh dear. And then of course it goes into Axel Foley driving his 1973 blue Chevy Nova through Beverly Hills, and you've got that fantastic score, haven't you, by Patti LaBelle. Stir It Up.
Yep, Stir It Up. Such a good tune.
Oh, mate, I tell you, you've almost got a point here where he's gone into Beverly Hills, didn't you, with that soundtrack? Do you know what I mean? It works so well, doesn't it? He's gone from Detroit to boom, Beverly Hills. Patti LaBelle soundtrack.
This is the opposite I was telling you about earlier. When, like you just mentioned, when he drives in through Beverly Hills, you look around, it's clean.
Yep.
It's clean cut. You see good-looking people. You see good-looking blokes. You see good-looking women. There's women wearing nothing. You've got big brands. He's driving past like different shops.
Yep.
Just everything about Beverly Hills is like perfect. It's a complete like 180 from Detroit, downtown Detroit.
Yes, you've got to do
sun shining.
Yeah, sun shining. He's Axel's eyeing up the ladies, isn't he? Sort of winking his eyebrows. Walking past a dude dressed up. Walking past a dude like Michael Jackson. He's got the old Michael Jackson all-in-one sort of leather outfit on and all that. And he's sort of laughing to himself.
Oh, there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them. There's one with the red and one with black. And as they walk past, he's like, and he holds his stomach and sort of just kills over for a little bit.
Yeah, that's it. It's almost like he's jumped into a fashion magazine, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Just this whole sort of bright lights, big city, and it's a great scene. And then he gets to the I can't remember which hotel it's called now. It's like the Beverly Hills Hotel, isn't it? The State Marriott or something like that. And he goes in and just says, and he sort of wings it, then he goes, "Yeah, I've got a reservation for Axel Foley," didn't he? And she goes, "Oh, sorry, we've got no reservations here, sir." And he goes, "Oh, it's okay, it's just put on there Rolling Stones magazine's Axel Foley." She goes, "No, still nothing, sir."
I got an interview with Michael Jackson.
And he gets I won't say what he says at the end, but he does say, then he goes, "Well, I'll tell you now, Michael Jackson might as well sit on top of the world, just in case, just as long as he doesn't stay in this hotel, doesn't he?" And then the manager comes out and then goes, "Oh, I think we might have a reservation for you, sir." And it's was it $220 a night? Bloody hell, that's 1984 inflation's for you, mate. It must have been a fortune.
That is, isn't it? Also, that guy, the manager that comes out, did you know that he is the director of the movie? It's his cameo.
Oh, is that him, is it?
That was Martin Brest.
Oh, I did not know
that's
that.
Martin Brest. It's a cameo.
Right, okay. I like that when they do those cameos. That's quite good.
Yeah, it's a nice one, that one.
So then he's booked into his hotel. He's in Beverly Hills, and then he goes and visits Jenny Summers, doesn't he?
At the art gallery.
At the art gallery, and this is where he meets Serge, isn't it?
Did you know? Did you know the art gallery was actually a shoe store in Beverly Hills?
Oh, was it? Oh no, I didn't know that. I like that.
Yeah, it was just an old shoe store, which was nice and white, nice and clean. And they commandeered it for a few days and filmed in the scenes of the art gallery.
Oh right, okay. No, I didn't know that. All right. So he meets up with Serge, doesn't he? He's a pretty cool character, isn't he? He's talking about it. It's like, he says, "How much is that?"
I love Serge.
He talks to his mate, doesn't he? His mate comes out with his chest hanging out. Goes, "What is this? What is it? That's not sexy, is it? That's not sexy." He's going,
you look like a shaggy dog. You look like a shaggy dog. Now go on.
And he goes, "Can I get you a drink?" Isn't it? You know, he starts going over. You know,
you want wine? You want cocktail, espresso? Right back there. You should try it. I make it myself with a little lemon twist.
And then he talks about the artwork, doesn't he? He says, "How much is that?" He goes, "Oh, that's $1 million." He goes, "Get the hell out!" He goes, "No, I can't." He's like, "Get the hell out of it."
I can. It's a very important piece.
And then he starts talking about Jenny, doesn't he? He goes, "So you and Jenny, you're like," he tries to say, friend, acquaintance. Like this.
What is it pertaining? Is it pertaining?
Yeah, that's it. Oh, dear.
Tell him Mr. Ahmed Foley. Mr. Ahmed Foley. Foley is here to see her.
Oh, dear. It's just comedy gold, isn't it? I think a lot of that was ad-libbed as well, wasn't it? In those scenes.
I think it was, man. I think it was, definitely.
And then you got Jenny. Oh, lovely Jenny.
Yes, yep. Jenny is in the art shop. He meets her and he says to her that Mikey's been killed.
Yeah, that's it. And then he says, you know, he wants to speak to the manager because he might have some information on it. And this is where then it goes into the scene where he goes and visits Victor Maitland, doesn't he? And you get quite a funny, typical Axel Foley. This is where you can see how he can make things work by coming across a flower guy on the stairs, doesn't he? He goes, "I'll take his flowers up to Mr. Maitland." And then he goes into like a flower bowl, then he gets some water and he just sprinkles it over his head, doesn't he? So, to make it look like he's been running around. And then he goes in, doesn't he? Sees Victor Maitland, doesn't he?
To Maitland. And as you walk in, as he walks in, you can see how intimidating Victor Maitland is.
Oh, yeah, big time.
The guy that played him, Stephen Burkoff, is just intimidating to look at. You know, he's got his blue eyes, that dark skin, you know, gruff demeanour.
Yeah.
And he's English as well. He's English.
That's right.
Did you know he actually lived in Portsmouth?
I didn't know that. I didn't know he lived in Portsmouth.
Yeah, he lives in Portsmouth.
That's a town very close to us, isn't it? Or a place I visit quite regularly. I didn't know he come from there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think he lives there now. He resides in Portsmouth. I don't know if he was born there, but yeah, what a great bad guy. English villain, brilliant.
I think the English guys do play a bad villain, don't they? In American movies, I thought it's just the voice, the conviction in their voice, isn't it? It's just but yeah, he's one of those guys who doesn't have to say an awful lot, does he? It's just the expression in his face. He goes, "Oh, hello, Mr. Foley." And he goes, "Oh," because he tells him about Mikey dying. And he goes, "Oh, I'm really sorry about that." And you just think, no, you're not. You know, you're just acting. He goes, "Oh, you better take Mr. Foley out." And then all the henchmen turn up, don't they? And he goes, "Take Mr. Foley out," and he gets chucked out the window, doesn't he? And then arrested.
Goodbye, Mr. Foley.
Yeah, and that's quite again, it's kind of like an iconic scene, isn't it, where he gets thrown out the window, doesn't he? And then he gets arrested by the Beverly Hills Cop, then he gets put in the back of the old police car. And then
the Beverly Hills Police Department, they pick him up. Yeah. He's in the back of the car and he says, "This is the cleanest and nice police car I've ever been in my life. It's even cleaner than my apartment."
And then he's introduced to Lieutenant Bogomil now, isn't he? And
Taggart, Rosewood and Bogomil.
And he just says, doesn't he? He says, "Look, I've just got off the phone to your lieutenant from Detroit." He says, "If I find out that you're involved in the Mike Tandino case, and he says you might as well not bother coming back, doesn't he? And then he just says, no, I'm just here on vacation, doesn't he? And, he just sort of talks his way out of it, doesn't he? And there's that little bit in the cell where he says, oh, you can come out of the cell now. And he goes, oh, I was going to wait here a bit longer because I've just ordered some pizza, doesn't he? Just...
I don't know if cells have a telephone.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
He's such a wisecrack. He's just a wisecracking one-liner. He's just cheeky. He's just a cheeky chap. He's Axel Foley.
He's a cheeky chap, but he's a likeable chap, and do you know what I mean? There's no point where he comes across as arrogant or anything like that. It's just, he's there to sort of help his mate out. And I think the Lieutenant Bogomil and Rosemont and Taggart secretly know that, don't they, with him? They kind of want to be on his side, but they're sort of covered in red tape too much, aren't they? Because they go, there's rules, there's regulations,
Well,
this is how we do it.
I think Taggart's the only person that really saw anything bad in Foley. Hence the reason why he strikes him in the police precinct.
Yeah, he's the only one, isn't he?
And then Bogomil comes out of his office. Bogomil comes out of the office and says, "Do you want to press charges?" And then Axel Foley's like declines and says, "No, I don't want to press charges."
Yeah, that's right. That's where he says, cops don't take on cops, do they? Do you know what I mean? We look after each other here. So no, I don't want to press charges.
Exactly.
So then
he's bringing his know-how. Well, his knowledge from Detroit to Beverly Hills.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, this is how we do it in Detroit, and then this is where Bogomil says, "Well, in Beverly Hills, we do everything strictly by the book."
He comes out the police precinct, and Rosewood is like opening the door for Axel Foley, and he walks out and says, "You guys are so sweet."
Yeah, that's it.
And then he meets Jenny outside in the car, and she's got a red Mercedes, and he's like, "Is this your car?"
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because she says to him, "You still driving around in that?" Or you used to have that
blue Chevy Nova.
He goes, "I've still got that blue Chevy Nova," doesn't he?
And that's when we see the iconic red Mercedes.
Yes, that's right. That's the one on the front cover, isn't it, of the poster he's sat on? Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Lovely motor.
Yeah.
So then he gets the going back to the hotel.
They're being followed.
Yeah.
That's it, being followed in a beige Ford.
That's it. Proper old Beverly Hills beige Ford motor.
Classic.
And this is where you get the bananas in the tailpipe, isn't it?
Oh, man. But that scene is so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Man. Is it like Axel orders the room service to Taggart and Rosewood, and like they're like stunned at like, oh my god, we've got room service. And then Rosewood said, what did he say? He said something like, how did he know that we were here? And Taggart's like, because I let you drive.
Yeah, that's it. And then because Rosewood, he's tucking into that buffet, and he goes, "Oh look, they've got like a nice prawn salad there, haven't they?" Do you know what I mean? He's really getting in on it, isn't he? And then
Did you know the banana seller, the fruit seller? You know that's Damon Wayans.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
On the Wayans, it's his first movie credit.
I never knew that until I saw him in Lethal Weapon on TV, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
he was in.
He's in that, isn't he? I need to see that.
Yeah, no, he's really good in that. It's a really good TV show. So yeah, I looked on his IMDb and I thought, oh wow, but I'd never thought that. Yeah, that's funny, isn't it? He's great. So
he plays a camp guy, doesn't he? He's like Axel says, "How much is the buffet plate?" And he's like, "It's $12.50. You get peaches, plums, oranges, and bananas." He's like, Foley's like, "All I need is a couple of bananas." He's like, "Shh, go ahead, take those bananas."
That's right. And he sort of says, you can have those. That's fine. Yeah,
take those bananas.
It's a great little cameo from Damon Wayans there. So he develops this plan, then he puts the bananas in the back of the tailpipe, and then he gets away, doesn't he? They see him getting into the car with Jenny, they drive off, and then they try to follow him, don't they? And then the car just stalls backwards and forwards, and it starts kangarooing, doesn't it?
It just stalls in the middle of the road.
Oh, it's just comedy gold.
It's brilliant. It's so, again, iconic scene.
Yeah.
Banana in the tailpipe.
And And is this where he goes to a warehouse now?
Yeah, he cuts to Victor's warehouse, Victor Maitland's warehouse. This is where he breaks in, and you've got Harold Faltermeyer's music plays over this scene, like really quiet, like a really stripped back version, like he's trying to break in.
Oh, that's right. You kind of got that sort of dun 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 dun. Is this where he comes across a security guard and he says, "Oh, have you got a
No, not yet. On. No, this is the warehouse where he finds the coffee grounds and the delivery. He witnesses a delivery of German barrel bonds.
Ah, that's right.
And then once that shipment goes into the back of the truck, Axel and Jenny Summers get back into the car, and then they follow the truck that just left the warehouse into another warehouse where he then jumps out and goes in and then gets seen by a security guard.
That's right. That's it. And then does he intervene at this stage, or does he just collect this information and then go back to it later on?
No, so he goes. They follow the white van to a bonded warehouse, and a bonded warehouse is a warehouse that holds goods before it clears customs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So he breaks in, gets caught, and then he makes an excuse that he's. That's it. He says, "I'm Inspector Rafferty, USA Customs Service." And then he goes in and gets all the information about future shipments.
That's right. He starts going around to all the guys and he goes, "I want everybody's badge because I'm going to make a formal complaint and you guys can be lucky if you still have a job in the morning," doesn't he? And he goes, "I want to go through all this here, starting with this crate right here." he slaps his hand on Victor Maitland's crate.
"Excuse me, sir, is that your Porsche out front? Is that your Porsche?"
What does he say to
Nobody's going anywhere until we start with this crate right here.
Yeah, because he dresses down the geeky bloke with the glasses, doesn't he? He goes, "What did you say?"
So belittling. What did you say? Is that your Porsche outside?
That's right, that's what he says to him, isn't it? I bet that is your Porsche outside. So at this point, he finds out that Victor Maitland, his crates are going past customs, aren't they? They aren't actually going through, so there's a bit of dodgy dealings going on here, isn't there? And then he goes back to Taggart and Rosewood, doesn't he? They're sort of sat outside and he just jumps in the back of the car, doesn't he? And just sort of goes, "Whoa," like that, and they're like, "Whoa, what the hell? You know, where'd you guys come from?"
And then he's like, "Right, okay, I'm going to go and get something to drink.
And I'm going to
come with me if you want.
I'm going to take you guys with me, yeah.
But I know this really quiet place. I drove past it. Quiet place, quiet drink. Come with me."
And then it just goes boom, doesn't it? And you got like a strip club, haven't you? And then you've got
Vanity 6, Nasty Girl.
Yeah, which isn't on the album, is it? And did you know?
Is it not?
No, it's not on the album. All the tracks, it's the only one that's not on there. It's a really good track as well. And it was actually written by Prince. That song.
Really? That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
He gets in everywhere, that guy, in the 80s. Most of the songs in the 80s were written by him. But really good song, isn't it? And I like it when Axel is just sort of... Taggart and Rosewood, they're just sort of stiff, aren't they? Just sat there. And then old Axel is just sort of swaying his shoulders, isn't he?
Oh, I love that. He's swaying his shoulders, getting into the music.
Yeah. And then he starts saying, then he starts telling him about Victor Maitland and what he's found, and then he goes, "You guys know nothing about police work." He goes, "You got your suits, you got your badge, and that's it, isn't it? You're out there." He goes, and he's basically saying to him, there's more than one ways to get this job done, isn't there? And that's where you get the guy come in with the old trench coat now, don't you? Like he's just come off the set of Miami Vice or something like that, don't you? Like a real...
He just looks so dodgy. Big trench coat, shotgun. Like, you can tell he's concealing a weapon underneath that long trench coat. You don't wear a trench coat like that with... Well, depends.
It's July. He goes, "Oh, that's July, isn't it?" He goes, "It's hot. Shouldn't be wearing that."
Is that Philip? Give me a kiss, baby.
And then he tells him to get back, doesn't he? He says, "Get back, man." And he just keeps walking up to him, doesn't he? And then he pulls out the rifle or the shotgun. Axel takes it
He's
off
like,
him.
Phil, you don't remember me, Phil.
Yeah. And then he takes that gun off him, doesn't he? And then he takes him down. And Rosewood comes in, doesn't he? He's got his tiny little gun, and he goes, "Get down, like that. This is the place." He takes care of it all, and he goes, "Whoa,
don't move,
Rosewood, nice,
turn over."
He goes, "Rosewood, man, that's
Way
some
to
nice
go,
action there. Way to go, man. You're like a super cop, doesn't he? Like this." So. And then you can sort of see on.
Way to go, Rosewood. You're some kind of cop. You know that.
Sometimes. And then you can sort of see in Taggart's face, can't you, that he's kind of just smiling a little bit here, going, "Yeah, that's a pretty good job, actually." And then back at the police station, he's got to explain all this to Bogomil,
yeah,
isn't he?
And, Detroit, back at Detroit PD.
Yeah. And he says, "Do you mind explaining to me what this is?" And then as soon as Taggart just steps in, Foley comes in, and he starts telling the story, didn't he? He goes, "Whilst I was sat there, these two guys, they intercepted, they took it out, I just observed it." And he just says, "Rosemont, he's a super cop, man." He says, "The only thing missing," is it? He goes, Rosewood. He goes, "The only two thing missing from these guys are capes." Like that, doesn't he? And then he just goes, Bogomil goes, "Do you really want to tell me what happened here?" And then Taggart tells him the real story, doesn't he?
And then Taggart tells him the truth, and then Axel Foley says, "It's up a perfectly good lie. The Super Cup story, it was working."
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, it was working, man. Yeah, that was it. So then you've got...
And then Bogomil assigned 2 new cops.
That's
track
right.
Axel Foley.
That's it. That's where you get that scene, isn't it, where he's doing a bit of a stakeout, isn't he, outside Victor Maitland's, isn't he? The guy...
That's it. That's the next scene.
Out, don't they?
Next scene, it cut.
He says, "Hey, man."
Cuts to Maitland's mansion, and you see him peering through the black wrought bars, looking to try and find Maitland. And the 2 new cops turn up after they got room service, and they refused the room service, and then they followed him to Maitland's mansion.
And that's where he comes out and says, and he goes, "Hey man, I'm not falling for no banana in the tailpipe." And he goes, "Hey, you've been hanging about this guy too long." He goes, "You really want to be going, 'Hey man, I'm not going to fall for no banana in a tailpipe'?" And he starts shouting at him.
"Hey, we're not going to fall for the banana in a tailpipe. Look, brother, you got to let it flow naturally."
Yeah, that's it.
"Look, man, you've been hanging around with this kid. Look, man, I'm not falling for no banana in a tailpipe. You've been hanging around with this guy too long."
Oh, brilliant.
You got to let it hang out.
So then he...
Man, I just love Axel Foley. Want to be Axel Foley. Just want to be Axel Foley.
He's just brilliant in this film, isn't he? He's just got all the lines, isn't he? He's just got them all.
He's just got all the lines.
So then he gets back into his Nova, doesn't he? He's getting followed by the police, and then he comes up to the traffic lights, and this is brilliant here, isn't it? He just waits for that light just to go red, and then he just drives through, doesn't he? And then it basically
loses the cops at the traffic
light. Yeah, he loses them, doesn't he? And then you've got...
And then the mate pulls up at this swanky country club.
Yeah, he's got his old Nova, hasn't he? He's got his bag in the front, and then the bloke comes out, and he says, "Oh, you got any bags?" And he goes, "Oh, just what's in the front there, isn't it?" He tells the bloke, he says, "Be careful with it."
Again, there's the other the comparison between Detroit and swanky country clubs. Like I think it's called the Harrow Club, Harrow Country Club, which is like a members only, special VIP people can only access this place, like members only.
Yeah.
And he just pulls up. Victor Maitland pulls up in a big stretch black limo, gets in all dressed up in a nice suit, looking really sharp. The attendants are all wearing nice clean clothes, and he just pulls up in his blue Chevy Nova, battered up, and he's like, "Yeah, park this." And as Axel Foley pulls up, and he walks up the stairs, goes into the main room, main reception room, and he has a little snoop around, and he looks into the main room from the reception, and he sees Victor Maitland. And then Axel Foley is then confronted by an attendant, and Axel Foley says to him, "I want to speak to Victor Maitland," and he answers him in a calm voice.
Yeah, that's it.
He goes up to the attendant and says, "I'm looking for Victor Maitland. I have to talk to Victor. It's very, very important. Yes, Victor. Very dark gentleman, grey hair, Capricorn.
Yes.
And then the attendant's like, can I pass on a message? And Axel Foley's like, please tell Victor that Ramon he met last week, he went to the clinic and it turns out he has herpes simplex 10. And I want to tell Victor Maitland to check himself with his physician to make sure that he's okay and things don't fall off the man. And then the attendant's like, I think you better tell him that yourself. And Axel Foley's just like, yeah, I think that would be best. And the attendant's just like, so do I.
And he just basically says, yeah, you just want to go right this way, sir.
And then he goes into the dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, again, just right there, he's just the king of persuasion, the king of cool. He just takes a situation and just bosses it so well to make him obtain entrance into certain little things. He just uses his character so well.
Yeah.
So well. He could play a camp guy, get into a country club. He's just awesome. Just too cool.
He's just got a lot of conviction about him, hasn't he? Ultimately, people just believe what he says, doesn't he? Just brilliant.
Exactly.
And so this is where he meets Victor Maitland, isn't it? And he says, "Hello, Victor. It's good to see you." Starts eating some grapes, doesn't he? And
also at this point here, when he's talking to Victor, do you know the guy that stands up from the table, his lead henchman?
Yep.
You know who that guy is?
I've seen him in other movies before. What else?
You're going to kick yourself.
Go on.
You're going to kick yourself when you hear what he's been in. I mean, he was in Stir Crazy, 48 Hours. He's in Gremlins. He's been in Free Jack. I mean, he's been in so many films. Most recently, he's been in Breaking Bad.
Oh right, okay.
This guy's Jonathan Banks.
Right.
He plays Mike Ehrmantraut, the hitman.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because he's got one of those faces, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? You recognise him, like you say, you see him in like Breaking Bad and stuff like that. So yeah, but he plays it brilliantly in this, doesn't he? He's not necessarily a ripped bad guy, is he? But he's just got a real menace about him, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Real sort of creepy sort of dude, isn't he?
Yeah. So he has a really slimy demeanour, like bad guy demeanour.
Yeah.
Just doesn't take any shit, basically.
Which works really well, doesn't it, in this scenario? And then he tries to take on Axel here, doesn't he? And then Axel just throws him over his shoulder and just chucks him into the buffet. And I love this bit. He just goes, yeah. That's pretty good, Victor, isn't it? Can you get him to roll over and turn and do a little flip at the same time like that? It's basically sort of saying he's basically your dog, isn't he? You can teach him a few good tricks, but I'm all over it, mate.
You teach him a few tricks. Yeah, you teach him a few tricks.
Yeah, I love that. It's just great. And then, so he basically tells Victor, doesn't he? He goes, I know I'm onto you. I'm going to show you that card. I know what you're about. And then this is where Victor Maitland goes, you better crawl back under that stone you come from. He's sort of putting basically a hit on his name now, isn't he? He knows he's in trouble.
Yeah, that's Axel says to him, like, he's like, I know you're into a lot of crooked shit. When I find out, I'm gonna fuck you up real bad.
Yeah.
And Victor Maitland, in his really like creepy English voice, he's like, how does his voice go? It's kind of like, I don't know where you get your funny little ideas. It seems painfully obvious you have no f***ing idea who you're dealing with.
Mm.
And then Axel's like, I'll catch you later, Vic. I gotta go. He gets arrested again.
Yeah. He gets taken back into the police station again, doesn't he? And at this time, this is where he meets...
the third time.
He beats Mogamill is actually saying to him now, because he's saying, what are you doing here, Axel? What is it you've got with Victor Maitland? And he keeps saying to him, I'm on vacation, doesn't he? I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
And then you've got a great scene here, isn't it, where you've got the chief police officer, is it? Or deputy chief, he comes in and goes, is this the man? He goes, is this the man who
ruined the buffet at the Harold Club this morning?
That's it.
Is this the man?
Who put a banana in the tailpipe for Inspector Taggart and is it And it's Spectre Rosemont, isn't it? He goes, it's Rosewood, sir. He goes, I bet you're the crown of your department back in Detroit, doesn't he?
That's it.
That's a brilliant scene, isn't it? And then as he walks out the room, doesn't he? Axel goes, is this the man who wrecked the buffet? And then Saget goes,
This the man who ruined the buffet at the Harrow Club this morning? Shh! You can't hear me, can you?
Yes, he can.
Yes, you can. Such a big mouth. Love it.
Oh, dear. And then this is where Bogomil, isn't it? He says, take Axel Foley, get in the car, take him back to Detroit, and you'll be lucky if you've got a job when you go back to Detroit. And because he says before that, doesn't he? He says to him, look, I've got all this evidence on Maitland. I think he's involved with drugs, that's what he's doing. And then they just said,
that's right.
We've probably got enough there for a warrant. And then Axel says, look, if you start getting a warrant, he says, these guys own the cops, don't they? Do you know what I mean? This show's going to be over if you do that.
Yeah.
So he gets into the car, doesn't he, with Rosewood, doesn't he? And he just convinces him. He says, look, for once in your career, you need to do something just off the line here. And he takes him to the... he picks up Jenny, doesn't he? And they go to the warehouse again, don't they?
Well, before that, Victor Maitland pops into Jenny's office and sees Jenny and asks her about her relationship with Axel Foley. And she tells him a few lies. She says a few truths, but then she says a few lies, and then he leaves. And then that's the part where Rosewood goes with Axel Foley back to the hotel, and then obviously he was going to escort him from Beverly Hills, but like you just said, he persuades Rosewood to go to Jenny's office, and then Jenny tells Axel that there was a man that Victor Maitland was asking questions, and then she joins Axel Foley and Rosewood, and then they go to Victor Maitland's warehouse,
where they find the drugs, don't they? They get the smoking gun underneath the coffee beans.
They find the cocaine in a crate.
At this time, Rosewood is on side now, isn't he? He goes in, right, he's now aware of it all, isn't he? Or is he waiting outside?
Yes. He's outside. Axel Foley and Jenny Summers go into the warehouse to look for the evidence. And as you just said, Rosewood is waiting outside. And he keeps opening the door and then shutting the door again. Like, no, I can't go out. I've got to stay in. I've got to stay here.
He's thinking, shall I go or shall I not? Yeah, like you say.
He's so wrapped in fucking red tape, it's untrue.
He's so much wrapped in red tape, he doesn't even react to a van turning up with a load of bad guys, does he? He doesn't even notice that, does he? Going into the warehouse.
No. He's like, nope. No, it's not by the book. It's not by the book. I must stay in my car. Can't intervene.
No. So then Axel and Jenny, they get captured, don't they? They find the drugs. Victor Maitland turns up now, doesn't he, with his henchmen? He takes Jenny, so she's now been captured, isn't she? So you now got like a sort of damsel in distress situation here. And then Axel's left, isn't he? I suppose they're basically ultimately going to kill him, aren't they? But they just want to sort of mess him up a little bit, don't they? Start punching him and give him a good old sort out, don't they? And
that's it. And Axel says to Victor, just as he's about to leave, and says, if anything happens to Jenny, I'll kill you. And Victor Maitland then says, that would be a neat trick.
Yeah, that's right. And he says, enjoy yourself. He says, yeah, I'll be fine. I've got a load of cocaine and coffee here. We're going to be fine. As he walks out the door. Yes. He always has something to come back with, doesn't he, old Axel, just to sort of steer it off a little bit.
This is the part where the hitman, or the lead henchman, reveals that he was the one that popped his friend Mikey Tandino.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So and Axel Foley gets a beating.
And then this is where Rosewood eventually, as soon as he sees Jenny taken out by the Victor Maitland, then he decides to get out of the car, doesn't he, eventually? And he sort of runs over the road, doesn't he, with his little gun in his hand.
With little pistol.
Yeah.
But fair play to him. He goes into the warehouse and he kills one or two hitmen.
He does.
Frees Foley.
Yeah.
And then they make their way to Victor Maitland's mansion afterwards.
Yeah, that's right, because he gets onto the two-way radio, doesn't he, to tag it, and he says, look, you need to go to Victor Maitland's mansion. And everything that Foley said is true, and we're going to need some backup because, you know, Jenny's been captured. And then this is where Taggart responds, doesn't he? He just says, you know, oh, Billy's doing something stupid. So then now you've got Axel and Billy, they're at the Victor Maitland mansion, aren't they? And
that's right, and they're about to break in. Foley breaks into the mansion. Taggart shows up and tries to dissuade Axel from breaking in, and it fails. Then Taggart goes to his car, pulls out a shotgun, and follows Axel and Rosewood in. And then
that's right,
Axel, whilst they're inside, Victor Maitland then sees Axel and Foley on the camera screens in his grounds and sends the hitman out to kill him.
That's it.
And then Foley runs up the stairs, like keeping low and like trying to avoid to be seen by the henchmen. And then Rosewood and Taggart try their best to get up a ledge to comedic effect. They try to bump each other up. So I think it's Taggart gets to the top of the wall, and as he falls down, as he gets to the top of the wall and then goes over and then falls down onto the grass, then you get this rapid fire from a henchman with an Uzi 9mm ringing out, like, and then Rosewood takes out one of the guys. Rosewood and Taggart provide like covering fire for Axel. Axel runs around and flanks one of the hitmen, takes him out with a Beretta. And then I think there's like 3 or 4 henchmen that have 9mm Uzis just like raining fire down. And once there's no fire, Rosewood stands up and says, "Police, you're all under arrest."
That's right.
And then there's another hail of bullets, and he ducks back down under the cover. And then Taggart then says to Billy, he says, "You know, you do that again, I'll shoot you myself."
Brilliant, isn't it? Oh dear. Because the bad guys in this are proper, as I said earlier, like it reminds me of like an 8-bit video game. This, do you know what I mean? It's that typical sort of, they're the sort of bad guys that you'll see, won't they? Like, you've got the end final fight boss here, haven't you, coming up, do you know what I mean? With our heroes trying to rescue, you know, a damsel in distress and that, and man. And you've got like you say, the Uzi 9mm with the bad guys, you know, wearing sunglasses.
Suit, shirt, tie, you know, just the typical kind of bad guy.
From that time period, aren't they? They look really slick, don't they? Do you know what I mean? It's really, it works really well.
I love the mansion they break into as well. Like you said, it's just so like the video game. You know, you beat all the men before, you get to the mansion, you have to beat a few people, then you get to see that. Then you beat the sub boss, and then you try to go for the boss.
Yeah, the boss that's got, I mentioned this with Dan actually in Enter the Dragon, you've got the boss that's got you've got a green bar and he's got a red bar, which is a little bit longer and he's a bit more badass, isn't he? And and you've also got the Axel F song here in the background, but it's a little bit more of a, I always thought it was a bit more of a sort of dance cut of the Axel F, isn't it? There's a few different jam notes in there, I think, isn't there? When you listen to that song, it goes quite well.
Yeah.
And did you know that the mansion here is the same mansion that Arnie rescues his daughter from Commando?
No, didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same set, same location, same mansion. And the funny thing is that Arnie is trying to rescue his daughter, who's called Jenny, and then Axel Foley's trying to. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good little tie-over, isn't it? A little bit of.
Yeah, that's really funny.
It's Hollywood for you, man.
It is Hollywood for you, but that building is actually, I think it's just outside Beverly Hills. It's actually on the coast.
Oh, is it?
I was reading yesterday. Yeah, it's on the coast, so it's not actually in Beverly Hills. It's out on the coast. I think it's. I'm not sure about it. It is, but it's not actually in Beverly Hills. I think it's in Pasadena or somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, that's a really cool fact about Commando. That's awesome.
Yeah, I just got that tie over the other day when I was doing the trivia on this. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So then,
do you reckon after Commando? Do you reckon after Commando or Beverly Hills Cop? Do you reckon like they sold it? They wrapped up the murder case and the house got sold to whoever. Then it's used in Commando.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Same universe.
Well, there is that, isn't there? It's, they say Valverde, isn't it? Was it South American made-up country, isn't it? It all ties over with. Was it Die Hard, Commando, and Predator, isn't it? So. Could tie over into Beverly Hills Cop, couldn't it, really? Yeah, there you go.
I could imagine. Could be in the same universe.
John Matrix
same timeline.
what's happening to John Matrix is happening to Axel Foley in the same universe, perhaps. There you go. Don't know.
They managed to get their way inside the mansion, and once Axel's inside the mansion, he's then being stalked by Zach, who is Victor Maitland's right-hand man, the guy from Breaking Bad.
That's right.
And he's being stalked by him with a shotgun. And all this is going on, and then there's a cut scene that goes back outside to Rosewood and Taggart, and this is the part, I love this scene, where Rosewood then says to Taggart that this situation, while he's putting bullets into his gun, is like, this situation reminds me of Butch Cassidy.
That's it. Oh, he says, or does he say something like, "Oh, you're really enjoying this, aren't you?" Something
like you're really enjoying this. You could just see the enthusiasm on Rosewood's face when he's like loading bullets into his gun, referencing a movie. Like he's just think he's like a movie star. Like, you're being fired at. You're gonna die if you get shot.
And that's what's good, isn't it? As we said earlier, you've got the development of these two characters. You knew all along they're going to be good guys and they're going to get behind Axel, but this is the development of them, isn't it? And you know that Rosewood, he's been tame, isn't he, all the way along, and now he's just turned into this badass, and he's thinking, yeah, we'll have some of this. Well,
he tagged a bad guy at the warehouse, and I guess that must have given him like the adrenaline to like, and he sprung Foley. So straight away he's in. He like trusts Foley completely. He can see what's going on. There's drugs bust. There's something afoot, and he's involved. He just wants to see it through to the end.
Yeah, I guess he's got that hardcore evidence that he wanted, doesn't he? And now he's got it. He's backed up 100% now. I need to go in.
Exactly. So come back to the movie. Axel then shoots the guy that killed Mikey Tandino. Shoots him in the belly. It goes through a door. He walks over to the body, and as he's looking down at Mikey's killer, Victor Maitland then comes and shoots him in the arm.
That's it.
He shoots Foley in the arm.
Yeah, he gets that arm shot, doesn't he?
Foley then gets down for a bit of cover, and then police start to arrive en masse at the mansion. Do you see how comedy the police turn up? He's into the comedy that how the police turn up to the mansion. Well, there's like two ways into the mansion, and both cars. I say both cars. There's like about 13 cars that just come up and just meet in the middle of this sweeping drive.
It's like the end of the Blues Brothers, isn't it? With all the cop cars all coming in at once, isn't it? Do you know when you get that typical? Again, it's an 80s thing, isn't it? All the police just turn up. This is where you got Bogomil turns up now as well, didn't you? It's all right at the last minute.
Yes, yeah. Bogomil turns up, sees them outside, and then Axel then finds Victor Maitland holding Jenny Summers at gunpoint, and then Bogomil steps in the hallway behind Axel, distracts Victor. Victor stutters. Jenny then elbows him, drops to the floor, and then Foley and Bogomil then launch a volley of bullets into Victor Maitland. And just before they shoot him, Victor actually lets off a shot, and it just whizzes past Foley's head and hits the wall. And then they both shoot him until he drops, and then he falls down the stairs.
He gets shot up real bad, doesn't
he? That's the end of Victor Maitland.
It kind of reminded me
of... he does. It's not like one or two shots.
It kind of reminded me of the same scene out of RoboCop, when the guy gets shot up, do you know what I mean, with all the bullets out of Ed 209. It's the same sort of thing, isn't it? They pump loads and loads of rounds into him, didn't they? It's quite graphic, actually.
They needed to make sure.
Yeah.
They needed to make sure.
Yeah. There's no coming back after that, so they've taken him out. And so it's all.
And then it cuts outside, and the henchmen have all surrendered. And they've all put their guns down. And then Rosewood just turns up and says, "Police, you're all under arrest. Lay down your weapons and take 2 steps back with your hands up." With his badge in the air.
Yeah, that's right, because all the henchmen have like dropped their guns and said, "Well, we better get out of here now," you know. It's like, that's it, dead camp. But yeah, no, it's cool. And he just likes that, then he goes, and then Taggart says to him, then he goes, "You just love this," then he goes, "Oh yeah, that's awesome, man." Oh dear. And then you get the chief turn up again, don't you? He says, he asks
why Axel isn't in cuffs. And then Bogomil then tells a story of the report of what happened.
Yeah.
clearly lying through his back teeth, and he gets away with it. And then the chief was like, "I want that report on my desk tomorrow morning."
He's brilliant, isn't he? I think he's got a suspicion that is a lie as well, doesn't he? But he's just thinking, well, it's a good job.
Yeah.
You're taking out a massive crime boss here in Beverly Hills. So, and then Axel comes out and goes, "You were lying your head off, weren't you?"
Lied your ass off. But what I loved about that scene is the chief then turns to Taggart after he's spoken to Bogomil, because he knows Taggart is so red tape, so straight laced. Taggart then says, "Happened exactly what he said, play by play."
That's right. Yeah, that's it.
He takes it on the chin and is like, "Okay, that's fine."
Yeah. It's a really nice way to end the movie, isn't it? Like that. Do you know what I mean? Everybody sort of.
Absolutely.
It's a really good crossover between the two guys, isn't it? You know, with Axel's way of doing it and that, and they'll become mates in the end, don't they? And
they do. They even get a bathrobe each, which was really sweet, from Axel Foley. He checks out the hotel.
He comes out and says, "Next time you get out of the shower, you're cold, you're dripping wet, you put this robe on, and you think of me," doesn't he, or something like that.
He's like, "Please." He goes to Taggart and says, "Please, take this." He's like, "Nope, I don't want one." And then Axel then reveals he's got 3 in his bag.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He's brilliant. He's rogue. He makes things work, and we all love him. We all love Axel Foley. And then it comes to the end here, doesn't it? He says, "Do you guys want to join me for a drink?" Doesn't he? And then it's like, then Taggart comes out and goes, "Oh yeah, we could all, we could do with a drink. One drink's not going to kill us, is it?" And then Axel goes,
one light bit is not going to kill us.
Yeah, and then Axel sort of does that thing with his eyebrows. Then he goes, "Yeah," and that's where you get the closing credits, don't you? Of "Stir It Up" by Patti LaBelle. It's great.
Stir Up, Patti LaBelle.
I do love those. I do love it when you come to an end of a film like this and you get a really good song at the end of the movie with the end credits. You know what I mean? It just finishes it off nicely.
Yeah. Definitely, and something upbeat like that as well. Like you've just seen a crazy hour and a half, hour and 40-minute movie, which is giving you highs, it's giving you lows, it's giving you thrills and sprills and explosions, and just when you think, "Oh man, it's all come to an end," and you just get this bum 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 dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Just this brilliant track.
Yeah,
and you could just imagine leaving the cinema. You can imagine leaving the cinema like in 1984, just listening to that, just bouncing out the door.
You'd come out feeling like you was Axel Foley, wouldn't you? After watching that, you'd
would
come out feeling good, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? And I think that was it. And then, so there you go, guys. That is Beverly Hills Cop. I hope you enjoyed the movie, just like me and Mark. If you have seen it, like I say, hopefully you're a fan. If you happen to not have seen this film, stop everything you're doing and go and check this film out. It's a classic.
Straight away. If you've never heard of it, if you've never seen it, go and see it now. It came out in 1984. It's now 2020. This year has been erased. It's not happening, but still, 1984. Go back to 1984 and relive this absolute classic. It's one of my favourite films of all time.
Well, yeah, there you go, Mark. You made a good point, and I think that's it. When someone said to me, "How are you dealing with 2020?" I go, "Well, I'll stick a film like this on, and it's just pure escapism." Do you know what I mean? It just takes me back to those good times. So it can help you out. It can help you out. It can put a big smile on your face. So thanks, Mark. Thank you for coming on the show today, mate. It's always a pleasure to talk to you about these great movies. And
thank you. Thank you, more to the point. And loving what you're doing with Bitesize Cinema. It's absolutely brilliant. Listened to a few of your shows now. I'm probably going to go listen to the Bruce Lee one now with you and Dan.
We had a hell of a time with that. We had a great time with that one. So Dan's been joining me on the show. He's going to come back. We're going to be covering Police Story next in a couple of weeks' time with Jackie Chan.
Oh,
so
he does love Jackie Chan.
Yeah, he's a big fan. He's told me he told me a good story.
He's a Jackie Chan fan, man.
Yeah, so because he come on for Masters of the Universe, and I said, if you want to come on the show again, Dan, and I just said, maybe if you want to do Enter the Dragon. He went, "Oh yeah, definitely." A week later we're recording, so which is good. So, but yeah, if you want to come,
just to note, that's all right. Just to note that in 1984, Beverly Hills Cop came out with an absolute canon of stellar movies from this year. I mean, just to reel through a few, you've got Dune, Once Upon a Time in America, The Terminator, Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, Neverending Story, Karate Kid, Gremlins, Nightmare on Elm Street, Red Dawn, Footloose, Romancing the Stone, Police Academy, Conan the Destroyer, Streets of Fire, The Last Starfighter, Buckaroo Banzai, and Star Trek 3 Search for Spock. I mean, that is a stellar year for movies. Let's just be honest and take a minute to appreciate that.
Mark, this is what we said before, mate, do you know what I mean? And yeah, for a movie like Beverly Hills Cop to come out with all those other films coming out and to do so well, and all those other films did well as well, didn't they? None of those films that you just mentioned, I don't think any of those flopped, did they? They all did pretty good. They're iconic. Did you mention Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom that came out this year as well?
I did mention that.
You mentioned Temple of Doom. I mean, that's a lot to fit in 1 year, isn't it? Just at the cinema, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? With stuff.
Oh, 100%. I mean, imagine living in 1984, that whole year, and just having these films coming out, and like your weekends, you just go into the pictures because that's the only way that you could see a movie. And imagine seeing these movies like when they first came out. It just blows my mind. I'd love to go back to that time.
Yeah, go back with your BMX bike. Go and get your ice pop. From the shop and. Your football stickers or whatever and all that sort of stuff, you know what I mean? It was just a good time. Iconic. And like I say, we mentioned this before, I still remember those times for me, just going down the old video shop and that and cinema. Just good times, man. Good times. Really good times. So, but yeah, no, thanks, Mark. If you want to come back on the show again, Mark,
no problem.
Let us know if there's anything you want to cover.
I will do that for sure. Definitely, I will speak to you. I'll look at some films, and if there's one that takes my fancy and obviously takes your fancy, then we'll do it. I'll be more than happy to come back. Thank you very much for having me on the show, first and foremost. And like I say, loving what you're doing. It's brilliant.
Thank you, Mark. No, I appreciate that. Okay then, guys, so I'm going to close up the show here. Just for a little bit of admin, you can find Bitesize Cinema on iTunes and YouTube, and there's other players on the internet if you put in Bitesize Cinema Podcast on Legion. And mentioning Legion, I'm a proud member of the Legion Podcast Network, so please go and check out all the other shows on there. I'll play a promo at the end. And I will be back soon. I've got Danny Boyle's The Beach, which is coming, which will be dropping soon with Leonardo DiCaprio. And I'm going to be covering James Bond with The Man with the Golden Gun, so that will be coming soon, so look out for that. So there you go, guys. Keep it bite size, keep it safe, and I'll see.
If you enjoyed this show, then make sure you check out the other great shows on the Legion Podcast Network, like Cinema Psyops, Cinema Beef, Devour the Podcast, Duncan and Bo Come Correct, Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, Friday the 13th, Get Slayed, The Hellming Power Hour, Hello, This is the Doom Show, Hero Hero Go Show, Kill the Cast, Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space, Jerry Hates Action, Legion After Dark, Mental Health, Obsessive Cinema, Discourse, Pick 6 Movies, the podcast by The Cemetery, the podcast on Haunted Hill, the Psychosemantic Podcast, Rick Radio, House of Wax, Dude Looks Like the 80s, Rabbit and Red Radio, the Shadecast, Short Bus Cinema, 2 Drink Minimum Commentaries, the VD Clinic, Who Will Survive Horror Podcast, and Witch vs. the Doomsday Clock. With such a wide spread of shows, there is guaranteed to be a niche for you to fall in love with. Horror, politics, movies, books, sex, music, commentaries, health, video games, kaiju, action, news, comedy, and opinions that would most likely get you killed in some parts of the world. We are proud to bring you some of the best podcasting in the world. Check us out at www.legionpodcast.com, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and any other dark corner of the internet where podcasts can be found.